What's going on, you guys? My name is Matt, and this is a show where I like to talk about the coolest error cards that got sold this week. One thing I really enjoy about this show is the attention to detail. Getting to take a close look at each card and see what the heck is wrong with it is just very fun for me. So sit back, relax, and let's look at some error cards. And kicking things off, we have a Bronzor Master Ball Reverse Holo from Prismatic Evolutions, and this is a texture shift. Listed for $200, sold for $50. I think that did that right. And let's take a look. Oh, these ones are my favorite to zoom in on. Alright, so Hammer In and the Master Ball should be right here. C20 is shifted. All this information's shifted, and this looks like it's actually, is that a little wonky? So it's actually twisted a little bit. You know, this side's a little higher than this side. And I'm sure if we kept looking, we would find a lot of other things that is wrong with this card, but and the outline of Bronzor there itself. Man, these are so cool, so much fun to look at. Good photo. One critique, show the back of the card. I know this is a new release, so it's kind of assumed it'll be in good condition, but it's always best to show the back of the card. Now, average non-error price for this bad boy is $5.35, so that gives us a 835% error value increase. And also, this added $45 of value to the card because of this texture shift. Next up, we have a Pikachu, and I'm not sure if there's a language barrier here, but it says different color Pikachu error card after image Pikachu Spirit Pokemon card game. Okay, description doesn't tell us anything either, but one thing I do know, this sold for $159.60. That means there must be some sort of error here. Now let's take a look. So I think all of this jumbled mess here of a translation basically just means texture shift. We can see outline is kind of shifted down like 1 or 2 millimeters, not nearly as much as the other one. But this card is worth more in the non-error price, but also it's a Pikachu, so I think that's why it would sell for so much more. We're flipping through here. Yeah, we see it's just a slight texture shift, it looks like, and kind of shocked to see it sell for this much. Added $140 of value to this card. And next up, we have a Miraidon Staff card from Scarlet and Violet, and this is right here. You see Staff, but what the error is, Staff is imprinted on the back. Now, I forget if this is because the Staff stamp prints so hard it actually shows through the card, or if this is a Staff from another card and the cards get stacked on top of each other after printing and the ink didn't dry properly. Please let me know, the more knowledgeable people in this community. But yes, a very cool one. You know, attention to the details here for sure. And this helped it sell for around $30 more. Next up, we have a Zamazenta V from Brilliant Stars, and this is a wonky miscut. We can see right here, another portion of a card, thicker. Top here, thinner. Whole card is just kind of twisted here. It's like twisted in its frame, and we'll take a look at the back here. Same consistency. Now, look at this too. Is that a printing of another card? It looks like it's a V card. So it looks like it got printed on too, actually. Double printing error? Interesting, I did not know that. So alignment, obviously, you know, twist in its frame. There's no border here. But let's see if the description says anything about that. I'm scrolling, nothing's happening. Okay, so yeah, near mint, twisted miscut error. But again, attention's in the details, and we see this right here. So very cool. If you are in the community and you bought this card, congrats, because I think this is a double error. Now, average non-error price for this bad boy is $1.75. So that gives us a 3,614% error value increase. And that's good enough for number 7 this week. Boy, that's cool. Again, you wouldn't know unless you just really slow down and you take a look at the card. That's fun. So I wanted to wait a few minutes into the video to announce this, but we have a giveaway. So one wonderful human sent me several error cards to give away, and I thought it would be fun to kind of spread those out over some of the next coming episodes here. And so here we have an Emolga Reverse Holo from Twilight Masquerade. And it has a printer hickey. I'll show better photos and videos on screen, but this is a really cool card. This is actually a repeating error. We know for printer hickey is if it's located on the Pokemon itself, it's worth a lot more. Now, I don't have actual sales data for this, but I know this is a repeating error because I actually have several of these cards to give away later on. So we're giving away an Emolga Reverse Holo. How do you enter? Make sure you're subscribed, like the video, and leave a comment with an error card that you picked up recently. It's all you gotta do. I'll announce the winner next episode. I'll probably just do a random number generator for the number of comments for it. But yeah, thank you to this wonderful human, a viewer of this show. And it's fun to give back to the community here because I think we have a wonderful thing going and it's fun to spread the love a little bit. So yeah, follow those steps and let's get on with the video. So next up we have a Granbull, which I'm not sure if I've seen before, but definitely is reminding me of the dog from Tom and Jerry. But this Granbull card here is miscut. Now at first I couldn't find what card this was because I was looking for the information on the bottom. I couldn't see it because that's how miscut this card is. That's pretty darn neat. I was able to find out just by looking up all Granbull cards in a list and seeing what artwork matched up. But man, how cool is that? A pretty severe miscut actually. We see an alignment dot on the top right here and another portion of a card here. I'm not sure if this is a Granbull or not. Probably a very easy way to tell, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, very neat. Criticism, show the back of the card please. We love to see if this is a miscut or misalignment. That's definitely good information to have. But one thing we do know is that the average non-error price is $1.41 for this card. And so that gives us a 2,026% error value increase, which is good enough for number 10 this week. Next up, we have a Glaceon EX Prismatic Evolutions promo stamped, sealed error card. Probably added too many words in there, but that's alright. Basically, sealed and crimped. So crimping machine, basically that was closing this plastic right here. This got misaligned and it actually left an impression on the card itself. A very cool error. I don't think it crimped this card. It doesn't look like it. Those must be done. How would that work? I don't know. I'm not going to even pretend to know, but yeah, a very neat error that helped it sell for a lot. $100 for this card, for the sealed Glaceon EX. The average non-error price is $3.87. That's not for a sealed version, that's for a regular version. We don't have sealed pricing, so just take that with a grain of sand. But that gives us a $97 value increase for this error card and a 2,484% EVI, which is good enough for number 9 this week. We got one of the classic boys. Here we have an Ink Splash iCarp error. Magikarp from Pokemon 151, Scarlet and Violet, I believe. And it's a repeating printer hickey. Oh, it's one of these. And it's a repeating printer hickey on the MAG of Magikarp. Now let's take a look here. Now this one's interesting. This one looks to be a larger overall like obstruction, but a smaller ink on the inside. So what's fun about these is each one will be unique, even though there was it's in the same spot generally for each one. The little black, ink here will be different, and this is one of the larger ones you'll see where it's clear and then ink on the inside. Just a fun little detail. And this right here helped it sell for $55. No, average non-error price, $1.47. So that gives us a 3,641% EVI, which is good enough for number 6 this week. And that's 3 cards in a row in the top 10. Can we keep it going? I don't know. No, we can't. Next up, we have a Lusamine trainer card from Crimson Invasion. And this is a wonky miscut. They call it a minor miscut from CGC. Basically, just twisted in the frame a little bit. $150 this bad girl sold for. And let's take a look. So with this, I don't believe we'd see any alignment dots just because basically I believe it's only the inner Pokemon part that's shifted. The rest of it would be the same. So I don't know how that happened, but this kind of error isn't conducive to alignment dots. But it got the off-center error here, CGC 7, and we can see average non-error price, I see for grade 9, but it's actually grade 7, is $26.25. So this is a little bit off. The reason I said grade 9, I think, is because they put CGC 9 here, and just, my brain goes into autopilot when I'm doing this stuff. So there's an error for you, my bad. But yeah, $125 of value added to this card. Next up, we have a Kindler training card, and this is a severe miscut, a major miscut. A 4 alignment dot miscut. Now, I don't know Kindler, but he looks like he would be a wonderful character in the Pokemon cartoon. I feel like he's got a great laugh. You can just see it right here. He's like even sweating a little bit from laughing. He's laughing so hard. So let's take a look at this. This card was listed for $125, sold for that exact amount, $125. Oh man, now we see another card on top here, completely different, night and day different. That's so cool. So this part is cut off here. We have no card information really. On the back, big brain. I believe this would be known as the cul-de-sac miscut. I coined that phrase. And we have 4 alignment dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you know how perfectly aligned this has to be to have 4 alignment dots right there on the top? You don't see that too often, just because if it's shifted over a millimeter one way or the other, you don't have 2 of these alignment dots. So that's pretty cool. Bunch of photos, we love that. And so is that 8 alignment dots? Because there's a 5, 6, and then 7, 8. 8 alignment dots showing. Wonderful. That's why it's worth $125. The average non-error price is $2.40, so that gives us a 5,108% error value increase, which is good enough for number 3 this week. Goodness me, oh my, that is a cool one. Oh no. Still filming? Okay. So next up we have a Pokemon football card print error. This tells us a few things. First off, there's something to do with the NFL here, but also that this seller may not know too much about Pokemon cards and their value. Which, no hate, honestly. It's hard to know something about everything, but whoever got this card got it for a steal. And I'll tell you why. Well, let's talk about the error first. So the error is right here. Jerry Jeudy of the Denver Broncos. This was purchased by someone in the community here, so we have a little bit of background information on it. We can see the portion of the card that was actually printed on here is a Jerry Jeudy football card from the Denver Broncos. And this is somewhat of a repeating error. It's known that this happened several times already, where I believe some information was still left on the printing press before they started printing these Pokemon cards. And it got imprinted on here. We saw a couple cards last week sell for just short of $1,000. There's 2 cards that had this error, different NFL players, but they sold for like $900, I believe, if not a little bit higher. And so for this one to go for $126 is an absolute steal to pick it up. You will not see this too often. You know, obviously there might be a couple more out there, but supply is very limited. And so this Slowpoke sold for $126.25. That's pretty neat. It's cool to see the other card that was actually printed on here, to see how that happened, the background information of the fact that we know that these cards are printed in the same factory now, just all the things you can piece together just from seeing this card is why error cards are so fun. So, average non-error price, $2.40 for this regular Slowpoke. Ignore the grade 7. That gives us a 5,117% error value increase, which is good enough for number 2 this week. Yeah, that's a very, very neat one. Next up, we have a Flying Pikachu from XY Evolutions, and this is a crimp error, just like the other one, where basically the pack gets misaligned, and the crimping machine that closes the plastic around the Pokemon cards leaves an imprint on the card. Now, I'm not sure what it is about all these sellers about not showing the back of the cards, but you need to do it. Especially with these crimp errors, it's fun to see the back, imprinted too, just to see it on different parts of the card. So, I guess despite this lack of information, this card sold for $40 still, and had a $36 price increase because of this error. Pretty darn neat. Next up, we have an Alakazam EX, and let's just take a second to see what you think the error is here. It's like, corporate says there's one error here. You have to find it. What is it? One difference. Right here. You see stars all around here. We see no stars here. Now, I really hope this is an error and not just something there's a different variant of this card and I'm going to look like a fool. That's alright. Either way. Yeah, I believe this is a legit error. Sold for $43. Front and back. Appreciate it. Card's in good shape. And yeah, average non-error price is $3.37, so added around $40 of value to this card because those stars are missing. And next up we have a Charizard EX from Scarlet and Violet 151, the chase card from the set. And this is miscut, slightly off-center. What do we want to call it? So is this edge of sheet? White here, just a sliver. So this tells us it's a little bit wonky already. We can see that here, it's kind of evident. No alignment dots, but let's see what the back looks like. Okay, this doesn't say something altogether, really. It definitely still could be edge of sheet, or that could be you know, a different card that has like a white border or something. But yeah, a neat card. Oh no, it is Edge of Sheet. Okay, so that's interesting. So I guess yeah, we can see white here too. So unless that's just a very dull cutting blade, and that's why that happened, no, that wouldn't make sense. Maybe it's not Edge of Sheet, because this would be the side that the Edge of Sheet should be on. Yeah, Detective Matt can't piece this one together if it's Edge of Sheet or not. Let me know. But yeah, cool to see the top chase card off center and messed up a little bit. Sold for $230, so $30 price increase. Nothing crazy, but cool to see. Yeah, next up we have a Magnemite that is miscut. Sold for $30. We have a Raticate on the bottom here. Slightly sliver of an alignment dot, more of an alignment dot. All of the card information plus some. And take a look at the back of the card. We can't because apparently that's just a thing of the past. We're not showing them anymore. One thing to note is I have two different searches when I'm searching for the error cards. I search error Pokemon, and then I search this big long list that was given to me by a viewer, basically showing every card that could be an error that doesn't have an error in the name. And that's where I find these, and so if you're listing a card and you're saying misprint instead of error, that might suggest that they don't know as much about error cards as other people. And also just about selling cards in general, so they wouldn't know to show the back of the card. But how neat is this? What would that be? 8% of another card? Maybe 10% of another card? Again, we can see Stage 1 Raticate, so we know what card this actually is. And we know this card sold for $30 and added $28 of value. Pretty neat. Alright, next up we have a Charizard EX. That sold for $175, or maybe it didn't, because I see this just right now. The seller has relisted this item, so unfortunately the sale may have fell through, but I already created all the data for it, so let's just pretend that it did sell for $175. Sold by the infamous Wenzel, TCG. They do a fantastic job. But yeah, let's just pretend this card sold. So we see wonky, we have a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner, alignment dot, and that thick border with that white alignment dot there too. It's I love the contrast of the white alignment dot on the back and the black on the front. Very neat. Average down there price $3.63. I've talked about this before. If you could line up like all the Charizards, and you'd have to tell me, or I'd have to tell you what's the most expensive, what's the least expensive, and everything, I might be really bad at it, because if you told me this card, you know, non-error price sold for $50, I'd believe it. I just don't know that much about modern Pokemon cards, so that's why I'm thankful I can kind of reference information and not make myself look more foolish than I need to. But then I'm explaining this, so I guess I just have no shame. But yeah, so again, in this pretend world that this sold, EVI of 4,721%. That's good enough for number 4 this week. Ooh wee! Alright, next up we have an Ancient Mew promo card with a miscut. Now this is just authenticated altered. Why was this altered? Sun damage, interesting. Okay, that makes sense why it looks quite a bit different. Yeah, so this is a miscut card, Ancient Mew. You can see what it's supposed to look like, what it looks like. So definitely faded all the way across. This is interesting because if you see a regular Pokemon card with sun damage, you know the border is kind of lighten up first. So the yellow will turn a lighter yellow, but the rest of the card won't be impacted as much. With this, it's kind of a whole different ballgame. So, neat. No real opinions on sun damage. If you do it on purpose, I guess I don't like it, so I do have some opinions, but it's whatever. It's very cool to see, though, to see a miscut card like this. To compare it to the average non-error price, which is $64, which seems high to me. I just compared it to the raw card because it's hard to say what authentic would be. So I knew it wouldn't be in the top 10, but yeah, just wanted to compare it that way. So this added $400 of value to the card because it's miscut like this. I don't think sun damage really added anything to it. Man, look at the back there. Alignment pluses, not dots, and we see the clear-cut line here of where it should be cut. Obviously still rounded corners here, so it's not edge of sheet and it's not miscut that much. And very neat. Oh yeah, it was Australian dollars. We converted it, and yeah, neat card. Added $400 of value, and it made the thumbnail too. Next up, we have a Portuguese War Turtle. And if you didn't know, Every single Portuguese War Turtle has the evolution box error. Now, does that make it less valuable than the other one? Yes, but it still makes it way more valuable than the English version, which is kind of uncommon because English cards usually sell for the most. They just do. But to have this repeating error here is very cool, and these Portuguese cards really don't show up too often. I'd say raw price right now they go for around $40 to $50, but here we have a PSA Gem Mint 10 example of it. So absolutely incredible. This would probably be the one I pick up first, is the Portuguese one versus the English error, just because it is cheaper, but I don't know when I'll be getting that. Pricing information here, I just added this so all of my calculations later wouldn't get messed up. So average non-error price, well, this is the same, so I just put the same. Average error price is the same too, so this really don't matter. I just wanted to talk about a cool example of a PSA 10 of this selling for $500. But what are the odds the next card I find as I'm looking up the error recap is an English version of this? Is the English version of this evolution box error War Turtle? Now that's some scratches there. We see that? I believe that'd be considered damage, actually. Now the rest of, boy, so that's not bad. This is a really clean card, but I hope whoever purchased this kind of noticed this, because that can really ding it on grading. And whoever purchased this purchased it for $100, which now we actually have updated error pricing for this. Average error price is $95, which I still think is high, but maybe that's just where the price is kind of trending right now. So I definitely think this will knock down the surface grade for this in general, but awesome card. And average non-error price for an English War Turtle like this sells for $2.09. So that gives us a 4,685% EVI, which is good enough for number 5 this week. Next up, we have a Shadowless Ninetales with the no damage error. This PSA 4 sold for $675. PSA 4, absolutely crazy. We can see we have that error label from PSA, so definitely the smartest to grade this with, because PSA is worth the most. And yeah, it looks like it's definitely deserving of a PSA 4. But yes, 80, no 80. $650 of value added to this card, and an EVI of 2,590%, which is good enough for number 8 this week. And we can see average error price, $413 for a grade 4, so this sold for $260 more than the average error price for this. So prices are trending upwards, folks. Next up, we have an Umbreon EX Prismatic Evolutions promo card. So this is a surprise box promo, and this is a crimp error. Not sealed. Sold for $300. Now, it's always interesting with these cards to look at the average non-error price and then what the multiplier would be. So, general multiplier would be around 6 for this. You take, or let's say 5. $60 times 5 is $300. So sometimes when the price goes up enough for the average non-error price, the multiplier goes down because it's still adding a lot of value, but not the same amount of value as it would a $2 card going to a $60 card or whatever. But this still went quite a bit higher. So, $240 of value added to this card. And it's just, I don't know, for a not sealed card, so usually for the promo cards, you think you'd keep it sealed, but for this to go for $300 in auction, it's pretty crazy. The interesting part is I saw another Umbreon EX promo, surprise box promo card with a crimp error sell for $160, but this one's sealed. So it goes to show how just the slightest little variable can really change the sale price, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe you add a couple extra keywords or you price it differently. Obviously, the other one only had 1 bidder. This had 12 bidders and went for $160. And it's sealed. Now, the crimp might not be as severe. It might be a little bit less. Let's see, actually. Yeah, this is a little bit more severe of a crimp, but I don't think that would change the value too much. And I think the fact that this is sealed actually would increase the value, but it doesn't. So, yeah, $100 of value added to this card, even though I think it would be more valuable. If you put them side by side, I'd say I'd pick that one 9 times out of 10. But here's the 10th time. Next up, here's another game of like lost in translation where it's kind of hard to see what the error is, so we actually have to do the investigating ourselves. So we have a Japanese Bubble Mew EX that sold for $300. So best accepted offer price was $300. Now why is that? Let's take a look. Looks pretty normal from this angle. Back of the card ain't gonna show us anything. There we go. So is this a registration error? I'm always so confused by that. So something got shifted here. It's not the texture. It looks like one part, you know, the black outline here is shifted from the behind area here. There's different names for each error and how it's shifted. I'm unaware. So not sure what this would be called, but we can see it's definitely shifted down a few millimeters. And that little shift added $120 of additional value to this card. So sold for $300, an EVI of 60%, and ignore the average error price. I'm not sure why I had $700 there. But yeah, a neat error that sold for a lot, you know, didn't add a crazy high percentage, but added $120 of value to, I believe, the biggest chase card in this set. So pretty neat. So next up, actually, lastly, we have a Foongus double printing error, one side blank. Basically a make ready card where they're like, we gotta test print it, print both sides on one side and leave one side blank. And then somehow it leaves the factory, someone gets it, CGC grades it for an 8.5, and it sells for $780. So we see, obviously, Foongus here. We see about 50% opacity of that, and 50% opacity of a Pokemon card that is miscut. So we can see it's missing a border on the left here. Obviously square corners. I believe that's an alignment dot. And then we have another portion of a back of a card right here too. So a lot going on. And then on the back, nothing going on. It's like overloading you, peace and serenity. It's kind of a nice feng shui, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's fun to see all the information here. And average non-error price, we don't have pricing for grade 8.5s, but a grade 9 sold for $11.50. So I said, you know what? Make average non-error price $10. I think that's fair. And so that gives us a 7,700% error value increase, which is good enough for number 1 this week. So that was a fun one. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. This has been fun. I've been filming, or I've been posting these on Sunday just because different schedules and, you know, just life happens and everything. But when I go too long without posting a video, it feels weird. So this has definitely become a regular part of my life, which I enjoy. I have a really, really interesting video coming up soon, but it may be a week or two before that's released because I'm going on vacation for a little bit. So working on it in the background, but making sure the content's still out there. Enter the giveaway too. I think we'll have like 8 or 9 weeks of giveaways coming up here for different cool cards with cool backstories too. So enter that. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.